This is Johnny from Car Bomb. You're listening to Macho Grande.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/Macho Grande. Over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Hi guys, welcome to episode 188 of Macho Grande. I'm Pete.
And I'm Matt.
This is our first show of the new year, so yeah, how's it all going?
Yeah, not too bad. Happy New Year, everyone.
It's snowing right now here.
It was kind of, they were throwing a few flakes here. I think it's probably going to start getting more snowy later on, although I am rather close to the coast, the sea, so it's a lot of salt in the air around here, so we will see. But yeah.
We kicked off the show with Turnstile. That track was called Real Thing. We talked about them a little while ago because I think we both really liked their debut album, Non-Stop Feeling. They had a couple of EPs which I don't know, but I did really like that album. And this is off the upcoming, now signed to Roadrunner Records, which is quite interesting because Roadrunner are now once again starting to feel a little bit like they're getting their groove back a little bit. Like they've got Turnstile, they've got Marmozets, because they went through that whole period of having a lot of very safe, radio-friendly American rock, and then they were reissuing old stuff, and it was a bit like, oh, come on, Roadrunner, you're better than this. So, yeah, Turnstile, I've got high hopes for that album. It's called Time and Space. It comes out in February.
Wicked.
So yeah, and yeah, we thought today we're just going to play some new tracks because there was a couple of start of the new year, loads of bands releasing singles. So we've got stuff like Bleed From Within. We're going to play the new Corrosion Of Conformity. We're going to bang out another show right at the end of January that'll have our Machine Head review and mystery box, and we're going to take a look at upcoming releases in 2018.
Yeah. Plus, there's because we're still kind of mapping out some of the people that are releasing stuff this year, but. Like you said, there's people releasing, or bands releasing stuff already, as we're starting 2018. So what have you been listening to over the last week or so?
The Atlas Moth, their new album, which, we can't play it yet, but I guess we should be able to play it by the next show. So I've given that a couple of listens.
Oh, I need to check that out.
I know, I need to send you that. Well, their last album, we really liked the one before the last album.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because then the last album, I'm terrible, I can't remember any of these fucking titles, but the last album was the one with that really cool front cover that if you got it wet, it changed. Do you remember?
Vaguely.
So like there was like a white front cover, and then if you covered it, like if you ran it under the tap,
oh yes,
it completely changed the front cover, which was really cool. But sadly, didn't really get into the album that much.
Right.
So yeah, given that a couple of listens, that is coming out soon. So yeah, we'll play that on the next show. A band called Culture, which we're also going to play on the next show. That's good. Corrosion of Conformity. We're going to play it later on. And it is good. It's nice to have them back with Pepper, and this is the Deliverance era lineup, which I look like. Deliverance is up there, probably in my top 20 albums, and I really like Wise Blood. I then kind of went off the boil. This new album is fine. It's an enjoyable listen, but it hasn't got any songs of that caliber, I don't think.
Right. Okay.
Have you heard any of it?
No, I saw that it was online, but I didn't. I didn't check it out yet.
Were you a fan of like Wise Blood and Deliverance?
No, not really.
I mean, it was my second Donington, and Corrosion of Conformity were first or second. I think first on the main stage, and I heard them play Clean My Wounds, and then that was it. I was just hooked, and still to this day, like it's rare that I'll do a Saturday night at the club without just sticking that on really early just for me, because it's just so good. That album's so good.
I don't really know their stuff. Like they supported Metallica back in like the late 90s when in Dublin.
Yeah, I saw them at Sheffield on that run. That would have been Wise Blood era. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That was the next album. Yeah.
That's all I can think of that I've heard. So it's just never sort of been a band that I followed at all.
Do you know what? Funnily enough, I put on Cunning Stunts the other day, just in the background.
Oh yeah.
When Metallica come on stage on the Cunning Stunts DVD, the lights are all still on, so they start the show, and all the lights are on, and they come running through the arena. My God, they look young. It's so weird. They look so young. Like, because obviously that was kind of fresh, short haircuts and stuff as well. So yeah, it's quite weird seeing it now, especially Kirk. But yeah, that was quite funny. So yeah, Corrosion of Conformity, Culture, and then we're going to talk about it in the news. But Night Versus popped out a teaser of the new album / new EP, and it is incredible,
stunning.
It's good. I'm very excited.
I love the production on it as well. Like I've just got some new speakers, and like the clarity that comes out of these is just sort of transformed my listening experience over the last week.
Sweet.
So I'm not having that sort of come in, and then because like, especially on the first track, there's just that sort of he's doing the sort of rim shot tapping on the hit, and then and then there's that absolutely insane sort of like 30-second riff like a minute into it. I really liked the vocalist. I did.
I know, and he was the singer from The Sleeping as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. So, but this was very impressive. Wow.
And I mean, if you want to check out something cool as well, Arik, the drummer, I want to say his second name's Impromptu. I can't remember. If you go on YouTube and put Arik, I think it's Impromptu. He did a solo. It's like a 20-minute, 30-minute drum solo for Minor Cymbals, and it went online last week. It is awesome. He's like this really high, energetic drummer with some crazy ideas, and he's triggering all this live stuff at the same time. It is. I think even if you're not a drummer, I think you'll enjoy it. It's really cool.
Right.
And I think that's it. There's been some bits and pieces, and then obviously one of the things we're also going to have a chat about on this show is both of us have picked a few albums from your lists that you sent in, just to kind of not really review, but just to give our thoughts on. You know, we've given each one a couple of listens, so we're going to have a chat about that later. So there's those albums as well.
Yes.
So yeah, what about you?
Night Versus Copper Wasp. Finally, you got me a copy of the Elder album, Reflections of a Floating World. I've had that on several times. That's amazing.
Oh, I'm glad you got into that. Yeah, well, we'll chat about that later when we talk about the top 10s. Yeah.
Yeah, really, really digging that. New stuff, the new of Mice and Men, I've had a blast through that. I mean, it sounds okay. I'm still like, it's not a voice I'm kind of like, I don't know, because I don't really like good. I don't really like, I didn't like his cleans. and I'm still not a fan of his cleans, but his scream is fine.
Yeah, I think it sounded alright, but it does sound very clipped and processed, the whole thing, and it's a little bit too clean and shiny for me. And then I got to that awful, horrible cover that they've put on there.
Oh yeah,
Pink Floyd. I was like, oh dear.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's also very it's still that very nu metal vibe, as opposed to anything that came before the flood. So like, just, you know, the first two albums especially were more metalcore, and yeah, I mean, I'm just still not sort of necessarily a fan of the transition into the nu metal style, but you know, it's definitely a solid album without Austin. Which is, you know, which I suppose is what you need.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a solid effort. There's just quite a bit of it that I'm still not a fan of. I've had a quick listen to a couple of tracks off the new Cane Hill album.
One listen through, and I thought it sounded pretty good.
Yeah, speaking of nu metal.
Yeah, very.
Again, I'm not too familiar with it, and I didn't really know anything of them before. You know, I knew the band name, but I never listened to the album before this.
I didn't get into that at all, but this sounds a lot more like they've kind of matured their sound and found their feet a bit more, and not quite so trying to be a certain thing. This is just, you know, it's nu metal. I wouldn't say it's top tier nu metal, and there's nothing on there that probably wasn't already done in 2001, but it's enjoyable, and it's definitely got focus now.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it had a very nasty side of nu metal vibe.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've got the modern production now, which gives it a bit more bite, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, you know, I'll check that out. The Can't Swim album, I really like it. And what was it? Oh, yes, Get the Shot. I've had that on a couple of times. Again, this is all sort of like coming in from the previous sort of last year's albums I'm still kind of checking out that I didn't manage to get hold of at the time. So they're two that I've managed to have on quite a bit of rotation.
Cool.
I definitely recommend the Get the Shot album. It's like sort of thrashy, sort of late 80s thrash, and sort of that hardcore, you know, Hatebreed-ish style. It's pretty cool. There's some really good tracks on there, so I recommend that. But yes, standout this week's definitely Elder and Night Verses. Those are just stunning.
All right, let's get into another new track then. This is a Japanese band called Shinigami. This track's called Apart. They just released this single. There's a really cool video that goes with it as well. These guys came out in 2016, and I first spotted them thanks to Arctic Drones, which is a much more post-rock website. And they previously have stuff that leans much more towards post-rock as well. But this one, it's coming out as just like its own standalone single before they get their new EP ready, called The Red, later in the year. They've got like a really cool look. They really take pride in their sort of visuals and appearance and artwork and stuff. So yeah, I thought we'd give this a spin. It's really cool. So here you go. This is called Apart.
Was
So that was Shinigami. Right, let's get into the news. I've not put much down, to be honest.
Okay, well, where to start? I suppose, the elephant in the room, straight off the bat, really, is apparently, allegedly, the rumor is there might actually be a Tool album finished this year.
I know where you were going with that.
Yeah, no. I mean, again...
Yeah, I'm optimistic. My guess is they will release in September because it's the biggest month, and everyone else should now alter their album release plans.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cautiously skeptical in that...
Mind you, when's Perfect Circle out?
Oh,
that's got to be soon, isn't it? I mean, we're going to deal with all this in the next show.
It's before summer, because then they're doing all the summer dates. So I would imagine the Tool stuff would be towards the end of the year. I mean, this is what I was just about to say. Is like I'm skeptical, like, because if they're talking about now hoping to finish off a new album, I mean, there's still a lot that could cover in that artwork and production, the final production of it all, and mastering and all mixing and everything. I mean, it could still be 2019.
I was going to say, the only thing that makes me unsure, actually, is it does seem a bit odd after all this time to have a Perfect Circle and then to land Tool on top of it. Like, that does... And I don't even really want that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I want both those albums, but if we're going to get a new Perfect Circle first, great. But I kind of want a bit of time.
Well, yes, but again, is this just a calculated sort of correlation with regards to Maynard in that he has decided that he wants to get out of the winery, and that he's done he's done the recent Pussifer stuff, because he has been touring the world on that for at least the last 2 years with that album. And, he's done the book tour, and is it possible that it's just a case of all of these two bands have been waiting for him? That it's basically coming to a case of like, okay, I want to be busy now, so let's do this. And, okay, whoever has the album finished first, we're going out first, and then the other one will wait.
Yeah.
So, he strikes me as the sort of person who is... he's all or nothing. He throws himself into the projects that he's doing at that time, and it's a case of Tool haven't had a project to be touring. They've just been doing the odd money.
And the two things, like the Tool band and Maynard, do seem like two separate entities, because they have said in many interviews over the years, the band write the music and then Maynard goes in to do the vocals.
Yes, exactly. And again, Perfect Circle, very similar in that sort of sense as well. I've forgotten his name. The guitarist certainly comes up with their arrangements and then works them through Maynard, and they bash together tunes. But again, with both of those on the horizon, I do genuinely think it's a case of Perfect Circle for the first half of, or the first 2/3 of this year potentially, and then Tool next year, with the album coming out, like you say, towards the end of the year, which means 2019 Tool for download. Let's have it.
Fingers crossed.
Let's be having it, especially on the back of potentially Perfect Circle being there this year.
Yeah, I'd go with that. I
mean, that's the big sort of elephant in the room, really, because it's like we've heard this so many times.
Yeah.
Since, how long's it been now? 12 years?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The last album. This has to be something special. It really
I'm trying not to think about it too much, because then it can't live up.
It's never going to live up to the hype, but at the same time, it has to be worthy of the fact it's taken 12 years, because that is just taking the piss at that point. Especially
with all this pissing about with it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the camp had been silent and then all of a sudden they pop something out, then it's like, well, they've been ramping up. It's their own fault, because they've been now ramping it all up because of all this. So, but yeah, we'll see.
And this has been going back, you know, I mean, at least 6 years that there's been rumours of like, oh, where's the album? When's the album? Because of the 6-year gap between Lateralus and 10,000 Days. Everyone just sort of was like, okay, well, you know, another 6 years.
Yeah.
That was an okay window, and that's when things started ramping up, where we started hearing things like, oh, you know, we're doing this, and Maynard saying something else, or, you know, there was all the sort of rumours of like, yes, but remember when they released Lateralus, they sort of were saying this, and then suddenly they surprised people. You know, that was 6 years ago. All this kind of started ramping up, and you know, it would be nice to have like a big double album or something, or a triple album, or just some sort of long playing masterpiece that
I would also like at some point before they retire or get old or something happens, a live Blu-ray.
Oh yeah,
that'd be nice.
Yeah,
I know they've said they won't do that, but still.
And then following on from that, Will Haven have titled their new album Muerte.
Yeah.
With the release in March. We'll review it. I think it's one we'll review, but we'll see.
Glassjaw Material Control is going to be released on vinyl in March as well. And then didn't you told me they've cancelled a tour, haven't they?
Yes, the Australian tour is being rescheduled. Obviously, it's the Australian Summer Festival season at the moment, and there was information like I can't remember who it was, messaged us on Twitter. I apologise, off the top of my head, I can't remember who it was. That, you know, looks like it's happening again, the same old curse is back. But it took another day or so before the band officially released information, and it does look like dates are being rescheduled. It's been postponed, but there isn't a sort of reason other than it's, you know, there's just been issues that have caused it to be rescheduled.
Right.
Again, you know, we assume it would have been Daryl's health, because that seems to be something that's happened in the past a lot, especially with Head Automatica. You know, their official statement is, Australia, unfortunately, have had to postpone this tour to later this year. We're working with promoters to solidify updated details. Thank you for your understanding. So, you know, there's no kind of indefinite cancellation. It is just we'll do our best to reschedule. Yeah, we'll see.
The only other thing I put down was obviously Machine Head released, I think, two new songs since we last recorded. One of them is this folky tinged Bastards track, and the other one was Kaleidoscope.
I have heard the single, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna reserve judgment until I've heard the whole thing now, I think.
I mean, all I have seen, and again, I try not to let that bias my first listen, is that initial review that was shared online by Rob.
He got pissy about one of them, didn't he? And he slagged off, or he took issue with the reviewer and moaned about it.
Well, yeah, because it was just sort of the way that they were reviewing. Well, you know, again, I mean,
I don't know. I thought it was written fine, and they're a trusted site. I can't remember which one it was now. He shouldn't be calling it. Like, he's too. I think it just came across once again as another pathetic thing that Rob's done.
Yeah, I mean, I could see both sides of it. The thing is, like, there was very kind of pissy language and sort of comparisons used in the review, but there was also just sort of calling it out whenever it's just like it's a review. So what? Some people like it. So
well, surely this far into your career, you know how to deal with reviews.
Yes. But again, it was just, I think it was a case of like, if you don't like it, that's fine. But I think some of the wording in it was a bit kind of like, you know, where I can't even remember exact quotes, but it was sort of
it was over Christmas, wasn't it?
Sort of
it
like,
went online.
Yeah, it was kind of like, you know, subpar new metal and all these kind of weird, kind of finicky reviews. Or, you know, comparisons.
Okay.
And, you know, like...
Oh, I wish I could remember which site it was now, because it's a site I'd trust.
Yeah, and like, you know, subpar Bulldozer tracks and things like this, it was sort of saying. And it's just like, you know, whenever you reviewed the Bulldozer album, this is what you're... And it's just sort of like, I don't know. It was just interesting.
It was Decibel.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, fucking Decibel are awesome.
So it was just kind of like calling it out, yeah. But again, you know, whatever. I mean, we'll wait and see. Oh yeah, because the review was calling the album juvenile, stupid, and endlessly pummeling with Super Collider level miss. And to a certain extent, that is kind of you're getting into kind of Spinal Tap territory of reviewing, you know, 2-word reviews, and, you know, you got to ask the question, on which day did God create Spinal Tap? And couldn't he have rested on that day too? It is getting into, you know, it is getting into that kind of territory, the type of review it was.
Yeah.
So I could see both sides of it, but it did read like a Spinal Tap review of a Spinal Tap album. So in some respects, I'm looking forward to hearing Catharsis.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't get me wrong, I want to like it. I know I've not been overly, you know, fond of Rob or Machine Head stuff that much lately, but I do love that band, and their back catalogue speaks for itself, you know, so I hope it's good. But yeah. So far, I have to say, I've not been wowed by these new songs, and it's largely down to Rob's vocals and his some odd choices. But yeah, okay, we'll see. Well, I'm gonna wait.
I also excited, and I am absolutely praying that it comes to the UK. The Norma Jean's Redeemer celebration tour.
I know.
God,
it will. I mean, they talked about that a couple of years ago. Last time they were over. They were talking about that, so because there was going to be like double dates planned for London where they were doing, you know, one night was going to be this album, one night was going to be another album. So yeah, fingers crossed. We have to do that, Matt.
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially if they bring it over with this lineup as well, because it's Norma Jean, Gideon, Tooth Grinder, and Greyhaven.
Yeah.
So just to see Gideon and Tooth Grinder again would be amazing. We'll see if it comes to the UK. I mean, I know from watching Corey do some of the live stream interviews for the 100 Suns release. He was talking about, you know, like Norma Jean just going on a bit of a break for a while because they have just been. But this does seem to sort of fly in the face of that, of like, we're going to do this tour. So maybe they'll take a break after this tour for a while, because I reckon this will be a good sort of. It's one of those little learners that will do well.
I'd say so.
Like the whole tour.
Fingers crossed for some nice merch on that as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed, because like that. Well, for those that don't know, new listeners, Redeemers, I think, are our joint favourite album up there with Meridional.
Yeah, I'd totally agree with that. I mean, mind you, the second album's pretty untouchable as well. But yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, what else?
I didn't put anything else down.
No. Oh yeah, we didn't really talk about it over Christmas because we did our top 10 album episode. Have you watched any of the live footage from the final Dillinger shows?
No, I read Renfrey's review because he went over. It sounded very cool, but no, I've not watched any of the footage.
Okay, yeah, neither have I. I keep on sort of scrolling past it, and it just looks absolutely insane.
Yeah, go check on the Independent. There's a really good review of the show. No, I heard good things. Just gutted I wasn't there, and as we said, I hope it was like well, it'd be nice to have again like a finished DVD/Blu-ray, you know, of the night. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, the footage just looks absolutely insane and emotional as well. So. I do need to sort of set aside some time to actually catch up on some of these things. But yeah, I think that is kind of where we're at. Like I said, we will do a bit more of an in-depth look at albums coming out over the next year.
Yeah, we'll run down the list and highlight stuff on the next show. Okay, so we've also got a mail to read out. We're going to play... I tell you what, let's play Centuries next, because I'm really excited about this album. Never heard of this band before. They're called Centuries. Apparently this is their second album. I've not heard the first. This one's called The Lights of This Earth Are Blinding, and that's also the name of the track that we're about to play. It's coming out on Southern Lord next week. These guys are from, it says South Florida and formed in 2008, although the current lineup now includes members from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Nashville, and Manchester, UK.
Oh.
So somebody from Manchester's in the band.
Well, okay.
So do you know these guys?
I don't. I'm trying to think. Centuries. I recognise the name, but it's one of those kind of like cool names that like. Let's have a look if it's the same one I'm thinking of, because it's one of those like with my old band, it turned out to be a name that loads of people then started having.
It does, yeah. I know exactly what you mean.
Whereas it's just like, oh, no, quite a few bands have come up with that. So yeah.
I think you're going to dig this album. Oh, I think hopefully everybody will, because certainly the couple of tracks I've listened to so far, including this one, I thought just sounded ace. So yeah.
Okay, wicked, bring it on. So, I don't know if this is Centuries that there's 3 when you search Facebook that pop up.
Right, okay.
So it's one of them.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so here you go. This track is called The Lights of This Earth Are Blinding. So that was Centuries. Right, we've got a mail to read out. So this is from Ross. Hey there, Macho Grandes. I've just found this in my drafts, waiting to send from before Christmas. New Year is well and truly past, but I'm sending it anyway because I wrote it. It's been a funny old year for music for me. I feel like I've listened to more great new music in 2017 than any other recent year, but I've had to scramble a bit to produce a list of albums. I think this is in no small part to me switching to Spotify as my source of music early in the year. It is incredible for discovering new things, but makes you flighty, and the range of choice meant I regularly bounced off so many good albums without ever really giving them a fair chance. The other thing meant that my listening was far less focused, and I found myself listening to pop, classical, 80s rock, dance music and hip-hop as much as I listened to metal. Perhaps this is a good thing, but it felt unfocused, and I missed that feeling of having an album, and that is all I can listen to until I buy a new CD or download a new album. Anyway, that is a conversation for another show perhaps. I'm already waffling. Here's my list. Number 10, And So I Watch You From Afar, The Endless Shimmering. And he said, I think this band is doomed to never live up to their first 2 albums, but they are still incredible live, and this album is a pretty decent return to form. I've still not listened to it. Did you get to know this? And so I Watch You From Afar.
No, not. I've only had it on a couple of times.
I do need to go back to it. I mean, I totally agree with them. They are amazing live, and yeah, for me, they went a bit off the boil off the first 2.
Right.
Anyway, number 9, Can't Swim, Fail You Again. This sounds like their last album, which was awesome, so I guess this is pretty awesome too. 8, Emma Ruth Rundle, Marked for Death. Hauntingly beautiful and brilliantly dark. I've actually bought this on a whim for my sister's Christmas, and on further listens, I'm wondering if it's a bit of a festive downer. That's an incredible album. I didn't even realise it came out that year, so I didn't include it in my list, but yeah, she's ace. 7, Grey Wind, Afterthought. Another Spotify one, Irish duo with female vocals. Occasionally a bit on the poppy side, it still boasts some great songs, and is generally just a cracking, catchy album. Number 6, 100 Suns, Prestalis. Heavy and catchy, it's basically a new Norma Jean album, which is no bad thing. 5, Vola, In Mazes. I owe this one to Spotify's Discover algorithms. No idea who they are, but this album is like an epic proggy mix of Dredge, The Contortionist, and Tesseract. Enough said. Number 4, In This Moment, Ritual. Bit of a left field break from my usual brand of beardy metal. I fully recognise how cheesy it is, but I can't help loving the totally over-the-top gothy drama. Plus, Rob Halford guesting on a version of White Wedding called Black Wedding is too good. Number 3, Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, Modern Ruin. Nothing this guy does is bad. Punky vocals with all the hooks of an alt-rock band. The last track is a triumph. Number 2, Divine Asheran. I don't know that. Or is it June? It's DVNE. June?
Yeah, I would say June.
June,
yeah.
with a V. Yeah, okay. Spotify gifted me this one too, but not until the start of December. So far, I have had this on repeat for 2 weeks straight. Gloriously heavy and incredibly well crafted. The whole band is a concept based on Frank Herbert's June. Oh, there you go. I should have pre-read this. Really, fucking hell. Oh dear. They come from Edinburgh, so I'm flying the home flag for them. If you guys haven't already checked them out, and you listen to one thing from my list, make it this. I reckon you'll love it. And number 1, Blood Command, Cult Drugs. And number 1 is thanks to good old Matt and Pete. Heard these guys on your show and probably listened to the album for about 6 solid months. The vocals, the choruses, the punky fury of each song is so infectious. Everything comes together in such a fantastic way. Thanks for this one. And then he's put bubbling under Duel, Here, Now, There, Then. Weird but good. Arcane Roots, Melancholia Hymns. Great album, just a bit more of the same. The Contortionist, Clairvoyant. Would be top 5 if I hadn't just found out they released this. Based on half a listen, it nearly made the list. Vukovi, self-titled, like a Scottish better Paramore, which is a good thing. Disappointments, he's put Enter Shikari, The Spark. Honourable mentions, he's put Chainsmokers, Memories Do Not Open. Sleep Token 2 EP. And he's put, well, that is my list. Thanks for another year of entertainment and great shows. I know you guys do this for the love of it, so I'd just like to say I'm properly grateful for the hard work you put in for our benefit. I feel proud to call myself part of the little community you've built up. Here's to a great fucking 2018. All the best, Ross. Thank you. That is very, very cool.
Thank you very much, Ross.
I'm going to have to check out June and Grey Wind and the one that sounded like Dredge, Vola, that one. So yeah, there's 3 there that I'm going to check out this week on Spotify. And I kind of agree with him on Spotify. I mean, I find myself using it more and more, but I totally get this thing of it feeling fractured and loose and not really feeling like, you know, the albums particularly well. Yeah. It is like a kind of scratchy way of doing things. But yeah, it is very cool. Yeah,
I still I mean, I do listen to a couple of online radio stations, but I still just search for things. So I don't know. I don't have that same kind of. I suppose I don't know. I've the issues that come with finding new stuff, as opposed to getting bombarded with too much new stuff. Because last year, like in retrospect, I do feel like there was a lot I didn't listen to because there was so many good albums that I kept repeating.
Yeah.
You know, for example, the Sleeps album, like, just couldn't stop going back to that album. It was just so good.
So, I know we mentioned this a little bit at the start of the show, but we did, like, for almost a bit of homework, go through the top 10s and just pick a few albums that we hadn't heard of. You mentioned a couple of the ones you've been listening to. I did also go back to Elder, because I kind of only had it on in the background once. So this album was called Reflections of a Floating World. And I didn't realise, like, they've been around as long as they have. This is like their 5th album or something. And it is really good. I wouldn't say I absolutely love it, but the songwriting, like, and the crafting of the riffs and the way it sprawls through, I mean, it's quite proggy. And it's quite instrumental for a lot of it as well. I kind of almost wish the vocals did a little bit more at times.
I mean, it was kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like a sort of stoner drone doom. Yeah, 'cause, you know, there's echoes of sort of I kind of had early Caius
Oh, okay, yeah.
vibes with the riffs, because it's got that sort of Caius
That almost deserty kind of, especially the way the solos kind of, they're very loose, aren't they?
yeah, they're very loose, and they're kind of stonery space rock in that, like, it's got those Sabbath style guitar sounds, where it's just sort of again, it's just, I thought it was very Caius-y, and then the vocals on it have that kind of, there's lots of that sort of drawn out drone as well, that you'd expect with kind of like a post rock, because especially when, like, the first four albums are all over first four songs are all over 10 minutes long. I was just I was very impressed with the craft of each song, like you say, just the way my head was kind of bobbing along to it, and the way the vocalist does have that kind of Caius Jello Biafra vocal style, Biafra. I really dig it. I can't wait to listen. I've only sort of maybe done 3 or 4 listens, and I can't wait. But I only got it like the other night. But I'm really liking what I'm hearing so far, and I didn't. Well, again, I had no idea that it was 5th album, so I definitely want to go back and check out more.
Yeah, well, one of the things I kind of put down, because I didn't really know them, I'd sort of put, this really good, looking forward to seeing what they can do next, and then I wikied them. I was like, oh, right, okay. They've been around for ages. The other one was the other 3 I put down was I listened to the Discarnate album.
Okay.
It's called With All Their Might. I absolutely hate the front cover. I think it's a horrible front cover. But for just really modern, simplistic but brutally heavy and just well executed metal / death metal, this is really good, and it goes quite brutal, like almost quite sort of Misery Index, but then through to almost a bit kind of Chimera and like a tad of Periphery in there as well. Like, really good.
I need to check this out then.
Yeah, they're a British band as well, so that was good. I did also go through the Get the Shot album.
Yep.
I can't remember what that's called. Is it Infinite Punishment?
Yeah, Infinite Punishment.
Yeah. These guys are from Quebec, and I'm just, like, I've never been a hardcore fan. I just haven't. I'm not into that fast, thrashy. I mean, much as I like Slayer, you combine hardcore riffs and Slayer and beatdowns, and it's all fine. Like, if I was at the gig, I'd be loving it. I'd be really enjoying it. But to put on at home, I just can't quite get into it. But yeah, if you want just really angry, a million riffs and plenty of beatdowns and solos and fast stuff, then it's great.
Yeah, I again really just digged it. It was kind of just instantly refreshing, because it was just sort of, it is what it is. It does what it says on the can, and whenever you want some really sort of straightforward hardcore and contemporary as well, because, like, some, I'm trying to think, like, if this sort of the sort of stuff that's on this album you don't necessarily get from an album that's within the last couple of years. I mean, you go back to sort of Hatebreed, maybe sort of 8 to 10 years for some of their, like, iconic stuff. Mm-hmm. Or another band that I was thinking of, what do you call? Oh, it's just gone out of my head.
Like Malevolence have kind of done a bit of this as well.
Yeah, Malevolence, and I was thinking of it begins with S.
And Knock Loose, obviously, recent years, they managed to do this kind of thing really well.
Oh, damn it. Bear with me a second. I'm just going to find it, because it's going to piss me off if I don't. Oh, yeah, Stamp and Grind.
Oh, you're thinking of the old band still, right? Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was just sort of like...
I think that's also part of the problem for me, is because, like, you've got all these bands, like Freebase and Knuckle Dust and all these bands that did it so well back then. Yeah. And some of the American bands. What was the... Oh, man. To me, all this was done really well 20 years ago, and I didn't really get into it then. And it's never going to evolve that much. So much like the Cane Hill album, it sounded good to me, but I did hear it all 10 years ago, and that's what I mean. It's fine. If I was at the show, I'd really enjoy it. It's absolutely fine to have on in the background. If I was at a mate's house and we were having a beer, great. I'm just not really going to put it on in the car for me, that's all.
No, I understand. It was just that... like I said, that's what I kind of, when I first heard it, I was thinking, like, oh, it brings me back to those kind of bands.
Yeah.
So, and for that reason, it was just kind of like, yep, it is what it is. It's just fun, stomping hardcore with that kind of, like, those sort of, chants and shout outs the way that, that New York hardcore does.
Strife, that's what I was trying to think of.
Strife is another one, yeah.
And the singer of Strife does this. He always does this crazy jump where he manages to bring his feet almost horizontal to his body, and he just does that continuously for like 40 minutes.
Yeah, and it's more that kind of side as opposed to, say, sort of Terror.
Yeah, and Bury Your Dead and those kind of that wave of.
Yeah,
that's when the beatdowns got really like more important than anything else.
Yeah, plus that's it kind of like the I don't know what without kind of making it sound too sort of contrived as well, you know, that very New York or sort of Terror.
But you see, I didn't do even like the Madball type stuff either. It's just not been my genre, you know. But there you go.
But when it's good, or whenever it's like I said, like Stamping Ground, where it's just sort of outrageously silly, but really, I just really loved it. It just had something, so I don't know.
The only other one, and I'll be honest, I have only been through this one twice, was the Free Throw album, which is called Bear Your Mind, which sounds nice. Like, it's a little bit too soft for me, and I like stuff like Balance and Composure and like the softer emo-y stuff. Apparently they've got a previous album which is meant to be a bit heavier, which I've not heard. But yeah, it sounds good. It sounded pretty cool. Anything else that you wanted to talk about from the top 10?
No, I think that's it. I mean, there is lots that I need to catch up on still, but like those were the ones that stood out from people's charts because they seemed worthy. Like I said at the top of the show, Can't Swim, and I've got Merker as another one that sort of queued up that I didn't get to check out. That it seemed to appear quite a bit in people's. Oh, and the Free Throw one, you sort of shot me a copy of that, so I need to check those two out. Out of the lists, basically, they're still to be checking out.
Right, let's sneak out another quick track before we do a bit of film chat. This is brand new Bleed From Within. This track's called Alive. We were big fans of their last album. Was it called Uprising, I want to say?
Oh, let's yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of years ago. I'd kind of forgotten about Bleed From Within. That album's amazing. And the new album is coming out on April 6th via Century Media. These guys are from Glasgow. They've been around since 2005. And I really like this track. Let's see what you think. All right, so that was brand new Bleed From Within. Before we close out, we're going to do a quick bit of film chat. I've been cramming the films since Christmas. And just super quick mention, if you do like the show and you want to help support us, it would be amazing if you could go on iTunes and leave us a review.
Yes, that would be very handy. That really helps our appearance or sort of notoriety get a bigger sort of scope the more reviews we get. So just, you know, to steal someone's phone and put in a review on iTunes, or if you haven't dropped us a review, please do, because we have a lot of episodes being downloaded and not the reviews to reflect that.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool just to get a couple of little reviews. You could do it really easy through your phone now.
We also had a couple of people asking about new merch, so I think we're going to try and look at doing that maybe around Easter. That'd be nice.
Yes.
Something new.
Yeah. And we're looking to new ways of sort of being able to sort of put out this merch as well. Cool.
So, yeah, I'm going to run down these films really quick and stop me if you want to chat about any of them. A Cure for Wellness, which is Gore Verbinski. I loved the look of this film and I really enjoyed watching it. It takes a little bit of a weird twist at the end, which I didn't quite get into, but it was really enjoyable and I already want to rewatch it. So that was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to watch that, but haven't got round to it yet. Again, it looks good, but then I've heard mixed things for it. And
well, I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's too long. It's just too long. Like, it really needs trimming down, and then there probably is an incredible movie in there. But the thing is, it's weird and enjoyable. So, yeah.
Gore Verbinski does tend to do that. Well, he certainly did that with the Pirates films.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit hit and miss.
Too long.
Yeah. Okay. Raw.
Really want to see this, but I haven't.
Yeah, kind of coming-of-age horror film that deals with this young girl. She's a vegetarian, first year at veterinary school, and she has to... as part of their kind of initiation, she has to eat this raw meat, and she develops this kind of craving for flesh. It's fun. It's good. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing that.
Baby Driver, which is the new Edgar Wright film.
It's fine.
It's fun, but it left me kind of like, meh.
It's certainly not. When you think Edgar Wright, it's got Edgar Wright-isms in it, but it doesn't have necessarily the same kind of quality as the things he's done previously. It is the most disappointing Edgar Wright film I've seen.
Yeah.
Especially when you compare it to the Cornetto trilogy.
Oh, absolutely,
and Scott Pilgrim. I mean, Scott Pilgrim is just something else.
Do you know what? I promise I will rewatch Scott Pilgrim because I just didn't get that, and I know people love it and it's proper, this cult phenomenon. I didn't enjoy it, but I've not gone back to it, so I will rewatch that.
The thing is, it's just if you do, I mean, it's not something that everyone gets, but it is just a case of it's a comic book version of real life that is a video game. Played through a video game, real life, and it's just, but which lends itself perfectly to the sort of thing that Edgar Wright does, the fast cuts and those convenience, those sort of double take cuts where throwing things over the shoulder, and the transition cuts where it worked perfectly. Whereas this, he has lots of those ideas going on, but it just feels like threads of story written around great songs. Especially whenever you hit the sort of like, there's a moment where I can pinpoint where the motion of the film kind of just sort of drags and kind of runs slow from there on in. It's like the first point. It's the part where he gets to the restaurant and meets Deborah for the first time. And it's from there it changes into a very different film. And it's just like, okay, we're not doing bank robberies anymore.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah.
And that's when it seems to lose direction, and then it never really goes back to the way the first sort of third of the film is, even though John Hamm's brilliant in it.
Mudbound, which is on Netflix, that's worth a watch. The Red Turtle. Now this, I've been looking forward to seeing. This is a Studio Ghibli co-production, and this is like no dialogue, absolutely gorgeous animation. And one of those films that just everybody should watch. It is really, really good. It's the story of a man who becomes shipwrecked on this deserted island. He meets a giant red turtle while he keeps rebuilding his raft. And it's just really fun, and it's just beautiful, really. It spans quite a few years, and it's, stunning. Really, really worth a watch. Free Fire, which is the new Ben Wheatley.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, even though it's not perfect, but it's enjoyable. It's
probably my least favourite film of his, but I am a big fan. And the only reason it left me a bit cold is I didn't really care about any of the characters.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I knew anyone, or considering, I mean, this film is just one big shootout in a warehouse.
Yeah.
But I had no reason to really care what was going on. I just really lost a bit of interest. But it is fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because all of the characters in it are pretty horrible.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, everyone.
I mean, they're all really horrible. I mean, like, even the one with the most... Well, I suppose there's two that have the most charisma, and that's kind of Shalton Copley and...
he is good at it, yeah. I mean...
And what's his name?
The guy he always uses, who's in Spaced as well.
Yes.
I forgot his name.
Yes, Tires.
Tires.
Yeah.
he's in nearly all of his films. So.
Yeah, and also, what's his name?
I started rewatching Spaced over Christmas. It's still fucking brilliant.
It's still brilliant.
So good.
The Tires episodes are two of my favourites.
I've not got to him yet.
Oh, brilliant. But yeah, I mean, like, I thought that there were some interesting ideas, and considering, like you said, it is just a shootout essentially. It's fun for what it is. It's a great Saturday afternoon film.
Yeah, totally.
Sort of thing.
Split, which is James McAvoy portraying something like, is it 24 different personalities?
Something like
that. It was okay. I thought the premise actually worked better than I thought it was going to do, and I thought he was very good in it. The film just left me a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a. It is a. It's clearly a vehicle for McAvoy to showcase some quirky characters.
When I read the premise, the only thing that came to mind was, do you remember Raising Cain and how ludicrous that performance was, that thing he did in that?
Yeah.
And that's all I could think of. I was like, this can't possibly work. But actually, he pulled it off really well.
Yeah, and I mean, the twist is, 20 years too late.
Yeah, totally.
But whatever. I kind of like the fact that it was just, if you were familiar with the twist or the film that the twist ties to, then fine, that's good. But again, as far as M. Night Shyamalan, like, this is one of his better films in a long, long, long time.
Very long time, yeah.
Possibly since Unbreakable.
Oh, that's such a good film.
Unbreakable's possibly my favourite of his.
Yeah, I'd go with that, only because you can't really rewatch Sixth Sense, can you?
No, I mean, like, I even when Sixth Sense came out at the time, I thought it wasn't worth the hype. I mean, it's fine, but I just remember lots of people were like, yeah, but did you see the twist?
I really like Signs. That's awesome.
I thought it was fine. That's the thing. And then from Signs onwards, I mean, it has just been a shit show, really. There hasn't been anything that I've given time of day. The Village, or what was the Plant Life one?
Oh,
and there was The Last Airbender, and there was The Visit seemed to get quite a bit of attraction regarding a couple of years ago. Yeah, there was the terrible Will Smith and Jaden Smith, what do you call it? Vehicle After Earth, the nepotism
that's terrible
film. Yeah, it was just So yeah, Shyamalan isn't like, I don't know how he survived this long on the strength of 2 films, really. It's kind of scary that he's lasted this long. But yeah, I quite like Split. I think again more than anything because McAvoy was so interesting in it. Even with the quirky made for meme dance that he does in it.
Yeah. And then I'll just skim these. Super Dark Times, which is worth a watch if you want something that's like a kind of dark Stranger Things. I wouldn't say it's an amazing film, but it's along those kind of lines. Super Dark Times, rather. And The Circle, which is based on the book by Dave Eggers, which I really liked, but I didn't really like the film. The book's good. And then I've saved the best for last. The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I'm going to pronounce this guy's name wrong, but is it Yorgos Lanthimos? He directed The Lobster.
Oh, yes.
This surgeon's life gets turned upside down, but his family become mysteriously ill. It is stunning and one of my favourite films, probably of this year, I would have thought so far. Seeing as I've only had a couple of weeks, but I reckon it'll make the top 10. Very weird, absolutely brilliant. I don't know if I ever want to watch it again, but I kind of do. It's right up my street, and the music. The use of music is incredible, like just disturbing, and at points just starts overcutting the speech. Like, it's so good. I absolutely loved it. It's not going to be for everybody. It's very weird. It's seriously fucked up. But yeah, very cool. And then Black Mirror. We finished that on Netflix.
Oh, it's all good.
Which I enjoyed. I think probably the kind of Star Trek-y one was probably my favourite.
Yeah, that was good. I did like that one. I also really liked I can't remember the names of them.
No, I don't know the names.
I quite like the Jodie Foster directed one.
That means nothing to me either, because I don't know which one she did. I like the one where it was set and they put the little devices on you to kind of view your memories.
Yes, that was really good. That was the Jodie Foster one where it was the daughter with the sort of, like things were being muted out, like the barking dog, and obviously that left her being rather messed up, and it was the sort of mother-daughter relationship. Yeah, that was the Jodie Foster one. And there was the hit and run episode.
Oh, with the dog chasing, where the robot dog thing's chasing.
The hit and run episode where it was.
Oh, sorry, that's the one I meant with the memories, the hit and run one.
Oh, right, yeah, no, I really like that one.
Yeah, that's great. That is dark, that one.
Yeah, I find that really tense. That's like,
it's horrible.
Just like,
I don't know how he sleeps at night, to be honest, right?
Exactly, especially with the sort of twist at the end.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Like, oh man, this is dark.
Yeah, all in all, it's a pretty good season.
Yeah, I still think there were some of the episodes from the last season were stronger.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, when you've got episodes like San Junipero,
so good, that episode.
They were just so good. And then, it's still not beating the Channel 4 ones, like White Christmas,
mm-hmm. Yep.
or, National Anthem. those are still just some of the highest. Although I'm looking forward to the books that are coming out, the Black Mirror
Oh, I didn't know
book
they're doing that. Cool.
that he's working on. He's sort of exploring different avenues to take Black Mirror in. So they're looking at books and, say, graphic novels as well, to be like using that format, especially because, you know, people can read through their tablet.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it is that kind of a Black Mirror again.
Anything you want to add?
No.
Cool, okay. Well, we are going to be back really soon, and we're going to be reviewing the brand new Machine Head album, Catharsis. So if you want to send in your thoughts, you can leave us a quick voicemail. It's 05603 689 842. We can play the message on the show.
Yep, you can drop us a message via email, info at machograndepodcast.co.uk, or you can follow us on Twitter at machograndepod and message us through there. Several listeners do that as well. If you have any music, if you're in a band that you'd like us to check out, again, just info at Macho Grande Podcast. Send us a bit of a press release. Pete might be able to add it to our mystery box, or we can just check it out in general. What else? Oh, yeah, follow us on Facebook and leave us a review on iTunes,
Yes,
please.
please
And
do that.
tell a friend to review us on iTunes. That would be amazing.
So we're going to close out on Corrosion of Conformity. We had a quick chat about them at the top of the show. We're going to play out with a song called Wolf Named Crow. There's also a video for this online. This is their 10th album, No Cross, No Crown, and it's out now via Nuclear Blast. So here you go. We'll see you next time.
Laters, guys.
Some man just steal Macho Grande?
No, I don't think I'll ever get over Macho Grande.